Thank you, Dr. Ranjan, for your mind-boggling presentation on Ganoderma and human health. I don't think any quality consumer here will have any doubt on Ganoderma in future after hearing Dr. Ranjan. Research on Ganoderma, what these medical professionals all over the world by involving themselves have done. Our business is made easy now. We need not duplicate doctors, which we cannot do it, illegal to do. We can only follow their recommendation, suggestion, by consuming Ganoderma for human health. I am privileged here to invite and Dr. Reginald V. Howe, being a medical doctor, MD, FPSPS, FPPS, FPCCS, so many fellowship degree he has, is a general and pediatric surgeon. It is my privilege to invite Dr. Reginald V. Howe to take over the next session.
Thank you very much, Professor Basupalia, for the kind introduction. As I would usually start my presentations, I would always want to say, good morning, DXN Golf. So I would like to start with the 3 A's for this morning. First, I would like to give my felicitations and accolade to the organizers of this activity that brought us to the golf, and for me, for the first time. And I had difficulty in trying to look or to attune my lecture today to the audience that I am facing. I have been going around practically all cities of the Philippines trying to share DXN to them, and I didn't know what is right for the golf. Anyway, I have decided that I would give an advanced lecture, something that I have given very recently and which somehow complements what the previous speaker has given to you. And also, I always start my lecture with an advice to distributors that please take your Ganoderma and your Spirulina. You have to take the products of DXN to be able to know how they are going to function in your body. In other words, how can you be good ambassadors and ambassadresses of goodwill for DXN if you yourselves will not be able to share this with your friends? So as we go around, I have this group who also came here to the golf, and I would like to just add that I am a general and pediatric surgeon and a ganotherapy consultant. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first DXN International Leadership Camp here at Mercure Hotel, Al Ain, United Arab Emirates, and where we will share with each other our health, our wealth, and hopefully all of us will be happy ultimately. So my role in this particular group of speakers is to talk to you about ganotherapy. Very simply, ganotherapy is just a type of holistic medicine. The prefix gano coming from the very now famous mushroom called Ganoderma lucidum, which fortunately, Dr. Lim Xiaojin shared with us since 1983. First of all, or right off, I would like to react to the 7-product DXN Golf Kit with Gigi mentioned last night. When he said that this particular golf kit, which actually became very famous and actually was a boom for all of you, did not contain RGGL. I was a little disappointed. I say a little, just a little, because that is supposed to be my topic. But when I had this cleared up with Gigi, he told me that the loss of the land had something to do with it, and no problem, because 6 months after operation, the people of the Gulf were also able to enjoy the benefits of the Ganoderma. So I would just like to emphasize that in my belief, DXN is not just business or about money. It is not even just about the products. Here in the Gulf, they have added, which are not available yet in the Philippines, the talcum powder, the lotion, and all of these beauty stuff. This is not just about them. This is about health and helping people not only help themselves, but also to help others. And this is about sharing. Sharing and also giving easy access to health education. In my country, not everybody gets to have the correct health education. That is why I endeavor to go around the country, if only to be able to share with them the correct health education. And DXN is an industry of conscience. These I paraphrased from the entire talk of Professor Vasapalia last night. It's because honesty and integrity are the foundation of the company, as proposed by Dr. Lim himself. Poor countries like the Philippines, who have, of course, poor people, will have difficulty in going up the ladder of DXN. But because of the very innovative marketing plan, I think a lot more previously poor people will become rich. And every time I think about the poor patients and the poor children I operate on in my country, I cannot be like Professor Vasopalia, who can just forget his career and do DXN full time. Because when I do gynotherapy seminars, and there are always consultations at the end, and when I see those poor patients come to me and ask for my help, some of them will have to be operated on. So if I do DXN full time, I will not be able to help them anymore. So that is why probably in the twilight of my career, I will be like Professor Vasupalia. I will try to do DXN full time. Another thing, we cannot take away or just ignore gynotherapy as we become distributors of DXN. We as distributors, even those who have just started and signed up, will have the responsibility of knowing what DXN products do to the body. In pharmacology in our college, I'm sure Dr. Mrs. Vasopal will be able to relate with me. There were at least 2 terms we learned from there. We call them pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics. Pharmacodynamics is what the drug does to the body, while pharmacokinetics is what the body does to the drug. So as distributors, I would like you to be able to at least know, even superficially, what Ganoderma product or what DXN products do to the human body and what the human body does to the DXN products, as we share these to our relatives and to our friends. And another question brought up by Professor Vasupalia last night. I got interested in how do the products work. He said he didn't have to know. I agree with him. He is an economist. In corollary to this, you know, we ride automobiles, a lot of us drive vehicles without really knowing how they function. A lot of you take the airplane, but I think very few know how airplanes really work. So that's exactly what I mean. But we, as medical doctors, who are considered artists of the art of medicine, have to also be scientists who have to investigate and find out what these products really do to us. It is true that it took my brother quite a while to convince me to join this business. Professor Vasukali was correct when he said that there was a lot of skepticism. It was because I am a man of science. And so I did my homework. I researched. I did a lot of researches on this and came up with beautiful discoveries that part of which I will want to share with you today. So I came all the way to the Gulf, 12 hours from the Philippines, to bring to you my thesis, my dissertation, which is practically just a proposal of a marriage between conventional medicine, of which I am a proponent for 30 years. I studied medicine for 16 years and practiced it for 14 years. That makes 30 years. And now, as a proponent of conventional medicine, who has discovered the magic of alternative medicine or holistic medicine represented in DXN by gynotherapy, I would like to propose a marriage of the two, because I believe that a doctor who has in his brains the two big branches of medicine will become a superior doctor. I'm sure all of you will agree. Natural medicine wants to prevent, whereas conventional medicine wishes to cure. And in terms of products, natural medicine like DXN, organotherapy, puts so much premium on supplements, while conventional medicine gives out drugs for any ailments. And we know that drugs are chemical substances that have side effects. And the goal of natural medicine is a general sense of well-being, whereas conventional medicine just wishes to correct. Let me present to you the 4 pillars of health. If you imagine this as a building, each pillar is very important. That makes the building sturdy and stable. Removing one pillar will make the entire building crumble. The first of these pillars is a positive mental attitude. You have to be happy about what's happening to your life. Second, a healthy lifestyle. I don't think this has to be overemphasized. All of us should have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet. We cannot assure that each food that we eat is complete in terms of what we need. If I analyze the diet of the different people in this room alone, I'm sure I will find out. And what I want to emphasize as the centerpiece of DXN is supplementation. This is the most important thing that DXN has brought for us. And it is a pillar of our health. Because still, we have so many big health problems. Still, heart disease, hypertension, and stroke are among the top culprits of death in any parts of the world. And so is diabetes. And so is arthritis, osteoporosis, and of course, cancer. Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, I would like to elaborate a little more. Alzheimer's disease is degeneration of the nerves of a certain person. This is expected in old age, but this can come early if you are not careful. And Parkinson's disease is a famous disease because famous persons have been sick of them. The former president of the United States, President Ronald Reagan, if you remember, was actually sick of Parkinson's disease and ultimately succumbed to it after several years of battling with the disease. And the very famous young actor Michael J. Fox actually had Parkinson's disease at the age of 40. Very unfortunate. So my topic assigned to me today is the role and importance of DXN Ganoderma and DXN Spirulina as the best supplements to maintain human health. How I wish I could add the other products that I know have already become very famous here in the Gulf, such as cordyceps, which is actually from the mushroom Cordyceps sinensis. I would love to talk about it, except that it is not yet available in the Philippines, and I do not have testimonials to support it. It's already available in the Gulf, and in my readings, I have discovered that this has a great importance, especially in sexual vitality. Some people will even suggest mixing this with the other products of DXN to come up with the most potent male and female. So, if I could just paraphrase my topic this afternoon, it is actually Ganoderma plus Spirulina equals total supplementation second to none. There are just too much exciting old and new data from researchers that you cannot imagine how excited I am to be able to share this with you. And DXN products are really too good to be true, even from a medical standpoint. And even to the doctors I share these products with. And of course, this means that the possibilities for us are endless. So this afternoon we will talk about the definitions, the claims, the testimonies, the scientific facts. We will have to prove why DXN products are good. It is not just enough that we talk about it. There has to be proofs. We will also hear some opinions. We will try to talk about the questions being raised to the products, and we will talk about the products themselves, and of course, the possibilities. First of all, I would like to define that Gano, RGGL, which comes from the microorganism fungi, which is a mushroom, and the spirulina, which comes from yet another microorganism, the algae, are mainly for prevention of diseases and ailments and not for cure. If, in the process, I cure my patients with DXN products, it is a bonus. And again, RGGL and spirulina candies are the purest forms of supplementations in DXN. Other products like your shampoo, your soap, your talcum powder, and everything else only contain extracts of the mushroom or fungi or algae. And so we go to the main components already discussed by the previous speaker, the polysaccharides, the adenosine, the triterpenoids, the organic germanium, the ganoderic essence, the vitamins and minerals, and all the other components of RGGL that if I list here, it will get out of the slides because there are a lot of components beneficial to us. And so it brings us to the question, which is better, natural or synthetic? Of course, the answer is very obvious. People who have been taking synthetic calcium and iron that are available in the market or in the pharmacies or drug stores that are readily bought by any person actually are synthetic. And many of these chronic takers actually still complain of calcium and iron deficiency symptoms. It's because these are synthetic and not natural. Natural products like those that are in DXN are better absorbed, better assimilated, and has a lot of benefits. Whereas if you take synthetic products, the absorption will be erratic, the assimilation will be incomplete or inadequate, and the benefits will be questionable. So first, I would like to go to I arranged this according to what I think is important. So please first talk about adenosine. The claims. Adenosine gives a calming effect that gives us good and deep sleep. Those of you who have been taking Ganoderma for quite a while will be witnesses to this. Your sleep will be a little sounder. And the scientific facts to prove these are, adenosine is actually a naturally occurring sedative that exerts a calming effect within the brain. And that it also slows conduction through the atrioventricular node, which has special adenosine receptors. Our heart has at least two nodes, the atrioventricular and the sinoatrial nodes, which conduct electrical activity from one node to the other so that our hearts will beat. And there are adenosine receptors there. And if the adenosine that we take with our RGGL attaches to these receptors, it somehow regulates heartbeats. And a chemical called adenosine builds up in our blood while we are awake and causes drowsiness. So I wouldn't be surprised that towards the end of this lecture, a few of you will be a little drowsy because adenosine would have accumulated already in your body. And the sources I have written as a footnote, so just take note of them. What are the possibilities then, knowing that? Because the heart is kept regular and normal by RGGL, then there should be less problems in abnormalities of rate and rhythm. And so therefore, we will be less prone to heart disease and heart attack. Adding more adenosine than what we already have will make us sleep early and of course sleep well. And that's not all. Another claim, adenosine can resolve inflammation, increased mucus and tissue damage in the lungs. That can lead to chronic lung disease and make us less prone to other serious infections. What are the scientific facts to prove these? Children with severe immunodeficiencies were discovered to have a deficiency in adenosine deaminase, which is an enzyme. And take note of the word adenosine. It is a rare genetic disorder, and these children somehow are prone to develop serious infections. That is a scientific fact. And our proof? Removing these adenosine receptors from a person will result in inflammation, increased mucus, and tissue damage in the lungs. Therefore, the hypothesis is proven. Cyclic AMP, or cyclic adenosine monophosphate, again, take note of the word adenosine, which we can get from our RGGL. When this is low, it will result in increased spinal injuries, at least in rats in the laboratory. But we can always extrapolate this to have effects also on human beings. Other scientific facts about adenosine, especially regarding sleep, is this. Caffeine blocks the receptor for adenosine. That's why when you take a lot of coffee, and I don't mean the coffee of DXN. If you take a lot of brewed coffee, for example, you will not be able to sleep well. And this is because it blocks the receptors of adenosine, which are involved in the homeostatic drive for sleep. So therefore, there is now competitive inhibition. Your adenosine, which you take, for example, or are produced in your body, will not be able to attach to the receptors. The caffeine will get there first, and so you will not be able to sleep. Probably this is also the reason why Lychee Gano coffee, produced by DXN, cannot have more caffeine than 0.6% that it already contains, because by then it will contradict its own purpose. Remember that our coffee is healthy coffee. We want, for those who really love to drink coffee, such as people in the Philippines, I'm sure you all know that the sales of coffee in the Philippines, in DXN alone, is one of the tops in the world. We are a coffee drinking people. And so therefore, Lychee Gano coffee really comes in handy because it is healthy. Yes, we will have coffee after the lecture. Other scientific facts about adenosine, and now involving sex, which to some is a very exciting topic. FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone, is a major hormone that is produced by women generally. But men also produce FSH. Women have it in their ovaries, whereas the men will produce it in their testicles. And this FSH binds to the receptors and actually induces a second messenger, also by the name of cyclic AMP. Again, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. Take note of the word adenosine. And if you have increased adenosine in your body, you will have increased sexual vitality. So you will ask, does this contradict with the calming effect that adenosine is supposed to give? How can you be calm during sex? That is impossible. So the answer is no, because actually it is an advantage. I'm sure all of you notice that after good or bad sex, we will all want to fall asleep. There is that drive to want to fall asleep. And this is because of the increased adenosine, which increases the calming effect and will increase good sleep, provided the FSH is not there anymore. Because if the FSH is still there, you would like to have a second round of sex. Let's go now to the second most important component of RGGL, which is triterpenoids. The claim: triterpenoids beautifies the skin. It improves wound healing. It is a brain stimulant. It improves memory and concentration. It helps in coping with anxiety. What are our scientific facts? Triterpenoids actually promotes the production of collagen, which is a major protein found in our skin, the largest organ of the body. And gotu kola, which is a creeping perennial plant used for skin problem in the past, from wound healing to leprosy, was actually discovered to have triterpenoids as its active ingredient. So what are our proofs? People we give RGGL to have better looking skin with the use of Gano. I have a story to share. One of my good friends, a doctor, who has problems with his skin. I gave Ganoderma soap to, the DXM Ganoderma soap, and in about a week, he reported to me that so many people are already asking him what he has done to his face because it looks brighter, shinier, and definitely more beautiful. And there is also a decreased startle response among anxious patients with the use of triterpenoids. And the test for this startle response is our usual test for anxiety. Anxious people are easy to startle. I'm sure that is very common sense. And better wound healing has been reported with the use of triterpenoids, even for burns. And students, I am also a teacher, so I have tried to give this to my students, and they claim that they have better performances in their exam, and better than that, they say that even for a series of exams or a cluster of exams, they think that they have better concentration during studying. And then we go to the next component, which is polysaccharide. Polysaccharides are actually from the word poly, many, saccharides meaning sugar. These are 3 or more than 3 repeating simple sugar units. So the word sugar. So you say, how can this help diabetics when we are actually taking sugar? But these are in a chain, 3 or more than 3 repeating simple sugar units. So what you take in your RGGL is actually a chain of sugars that have not been broken yet. It is your body that's going to break them up. And the body somehow is very intelligent. It's going to find out if your body needs more sugar, then it's going to break it down. If not, it's going to store it in its original form. So that the more you know about the human body, the more you will appreciate what the Creator has done for us. And so there is also fiber in Gano. This fiber will be divided into 2, either the soluble or the insoluble. Soluble meaning it can be utilized and assimilated, while the insoluble will be eliminated unchanged. So there is the question of how does Gano help diabetics? I have already explained it, at least partially. Later on, I will touch on it a little more profoundly. Scientific facts about this is that if you have increased fibers in your body, you will have better intestinal motility. So the movements of your intestine somehow is regulated. So because of that, you will have better absorption of nutrients. You will also have better evacuation of stools. There will be no stock up. It will also prevent the development of diseases like tumors and diverticular diseases of the gastrointestinal tract. I would just like to add a little about the stuck up thing. Don't you know that a lot of my patients who I do enema to, who are already, say, 40, 50 years old, I can still get coins in some of them, or small toy items which they apparently swallowed when they were kids. And it is actually still there in their body. Don't you know that at least 10 to 20 pounds of old feces are still inside your gastrointestinal tract? Normal human beings, normal adults like us, are required only to move 1 BM a day, one bowel movement. Again, we will have to define. Beta-glucans, also mentioned by the previous lecturer, are actually a group of naturally occurring polysaccharides, which are again complex sugars that are parts of the cell walls of bacteria, plants, and fungi. Our focus is, of course, the fungi, because that's where our RGGL comes from. The claims are that it boosts immune functions, it is anti-cancer, and it is found in medicinal mushrooms. And the scientific fact is our DXN, Reishi Gano, contains not only glucan, but the best of the glucan group, which is the beta-3 glucan polysaccharide. A study conducted at the very prestigious National Cancer Institute, where they injected tumors with glucan derivatives, found that there was actual reduction in the tumor size. And the mechanism is, there is migration of the immune cells to the tumor site and induction of tumor necrosis. In other words, it will kill the cancer cells. Dr. Komota, of course a Japanese, in 1984 at the Tokyo Medical University in Japan, isolated Ganodella A and B from extracts of the reishi glucan polysaccharide. And he did an experiment. He tried to inject these substances into mice. And in no time at all, he was able to discover that there was lowering of the blood sugar within 7 hours. And he has also proven that it is anti-cancer in the same mechanism that I have already explained. And there is also decreased allergic reactions. Now, why even allergy? And so he tried to even find out further and discovered that there was lanostan there, which inhibits overzealous allergic reactions. People who are allergic or are suffering from allergy will develop generalized maculopapular rashes all over their body if they eat something that they are allergic to. And lanostan, which is contained in our RGGL Ganoderma, is going to decrease that overzealous, overactive response. Let's listen to an opinion. This time from Dr. Andrew Will, who is a proponent of alternative medicine, also a type of ganotherapy or holistic medicine. He said that at least 4 species of mushrooms are anti-cancer, antiviral, immune enhancers, especially in patients who are being prepared to go or undergo chemotherapy and radiotherapy because they have cancers. And it regulates the blood pressure and blood sugar and decrease cholesterol. And among these 4 species of mushroom, he mentions that reishi gano is one of them. He further says that reishi gano in particular is actually too woody and bitter to eat as food. It's good that now DXN has made available these reishi gano in tea bags, capsules, liquid extracts, and in the Gulf in powder form. Animal studies have shown that reishi improves the immune functions. It inhibits growth of some malignant tumors and is a natural anti-inflammatory agent. So if you have headache, for example, and you took Ganoderma coffee, lychee coffee, and the headache goes away, you now know the explanation. Wow. So here is another question. Can we take two tonics, supplements at the same time? I'm sure some of you are worried about this because we have so many products in DXN. The answer is yes, because they will give better results. www.fungi.com actually says that if you take two or more than two fungi plus something else, you will feel even better. So the next question is, how long is the trial period for Gano results? When do we expect to feel better after taking Ganoderma? The answer is at least 2 months of daily use for maximum results. And how do we monitor improvement? There will be increased sense of well-being. You will have more energy. There will be changes in how you respond to stress, either physical or emotional. You will be less irritable at work, probably, and you will be less susceptible to illnesses. Another question, do we get pesticides from DXN Gano? This is a very major question, a major concern for some people, because the farmers, we know, actually put a lot of pesticides and insecticides to their plants. But this is only because the farmers want to protect them from insects. And so therefore, they will be able to sell this at a higher price. In the Philippines, this really happens a lot. And so there is evidence that pesticide residues are present in 71 to 90% of, take note, conventionally produced foods, as compared to only 13 to 23% in organically grown food. And you know, of course, that DXN products are organically grown. I didn't have the chance or the opportunity to go to Kedah, Malaysia, to observe how this Ganoderma is really produced. But I have a very reliable source in my brother who told me that it is impeccable. Other questions. How does Gano prevent obesity, diabetes, improve our digestive functions, and overall health? Here, now I would like to address the question of Gano trying to cure or treat diabetes. First, the food fiber that is present in our Gano products, which I have already explained, some of them are indigestible. They will go to our digestive system and they will remain unchanged. These unchanged fibers will slow down the eating process. And if the eating process is slowed down, you will have a feeling of fullness, and so you will not overeat, and so therefore there will be no obesity. There is also slow digestion and absorption, so that the glucose or the sugar enters the blood more slowly, and the blood sugar therefore is kept at a low or a manageable level, so diabetes will not have a chance to occur. But what happens to the fiber eventually? Some of you will be curious. Does it have actually other uses? They are broken down in the colon or our large intestine by bacteria through fermentation, broken down to organic acid, which actually helps nourish the linings of the colon and prevent the development of tumors and diverticular diseases. And it is also a fact that these component organic acids will provide fuel to the rest of the body, especially the liver, which has an important role in metabolism. You all know that the liver actually performs at least 500 functions a day. One of them is to produce bile, which is very important. And there is a statement here that says only plants produce fiber. Is this true or not? The outright answer is no. We are dealing in DXN with microorganisms, not plants. And mushroom, fungi, Gano, algae, or spirulina actually have fibers. They, as the microorganisms, the earliest microorganisms, especially the algae, are actually there to provide a link between the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. And we are very happy that the algae and the fungi which have existed for thousands of years are now here with us again so that we may enjoy their benefits. Fibers actually enclose packaged nutritious parts of plants that store the starch, the sugar, the vitamins, the minerals, which participate in building our cells. And obesity, which is ironically called malnutrition. How can somebody very large be malnourished? But this the word here is mal. Mal meaning bad. So it's bad nutrition. Obesity is bad because it can lead to cardiac diseases and even cancer. And what is the culprit? The culprit is because we have been taking a lot of refined or fiber-depleted carbohydrates, such as probably the white sugar that you put in your coffee just a little while ago. That is actually bad for our body. And this has been discovered by a naval doctor and a surgeon in East Africa, namely Dr. Cleve and Dr. Dennis Burkitt, that they are really the culprits of many of our present-day diseases. So my other proposal this afternoon is that if we combine the two major products of DXN, which is Ganoderma and Spirulina, Gano being the king of the fungi and the Spirulina being the king of the algae, I would say you cannot ask for more. So we will have to discuss Spirulina in more detail. It promotes activation of natural cancer-fighting substances in the body. So if Spirulina will prevent you developing cancer, you know the reason. Based on findings of scientists in Japan at the Osaka Institute of Public Health, which was reported formally at the 30th annual meeting of the Japanese Society of Immunology. So this was actually an international congress of immunologists or respected sub-specialists of internal medicine, which was held last November 2000. They presented a study wherein the study volunteers were above 40 years old. They gave each of these people 50 milliliters of spirulina extracts, and the level of the natural cancer-fighting substances in the body was measured. And the result, they found that there was an actual increase in the amount of the natural cancer-killing cells. And there was also increased interferon gamma or gamma interferon. You see, interferon is so aptly named because the function of interferon is from the prefix interfere. It actually interferes. When interferon is present in the cell, it is going to interfere with the entrance of even a simple viral or bacterial disease. So this significantly increases the tumor killing ability of spirulina. And this increase is noted 1 to 2 weeks after administration of the spirulina and continued even 12 to 24 weeks after stopping the spirulina. This is supported by similar researches in the prestigious universities of the United States, such as the University of California, Davis, and North Carolina State University, which was published in a study which was done by Dr. Amabile. She said that spirulina is actually equivalent to immunotherapy. This is also supported by the previous speaker. This was also presented in the 59th annual meeting of the Japanese Cancer Association in October 2000, wherein the Osaka group said that in their study, they tried to combine spirulina extracts with cell wall products they called BCG-CWS. And the major component of this cell wall product, of course, we now know, is polysaccharide that is also contained in our Ganoderma. The combination of the two will significantly increase the regression of implanted tumor cells, in mice at least, compared to the administration of cell wall alone, which produced 80% remission. So this claim is now being proven inside the laboratory and even in clinical patients. Dr. Seya, who was the chief investigator of that study, said that both spirulina and cell wall extracts played complementary role to control cancer more effectively, and therefore says that if you combine spirulina with Ganoderma, it actually holds a very great promise. What is the mechanism? The skeptics will still ask. It is because the cell wall extracts, which are usually commonly used for lung cancer therapy, leads to an increase in cytotoxic T cells. These cytotoxic T cells you are actually use or will use should you, God forbid, develop AIDS or cancer, because these are actually the cells of our body, the soldiers who guard against the entrance of virus and cancer cells. And spirulina increases the natural cancer fighting cells, as I have already said in a previous slide. So therefore, spirulina is our immortal ancestor. It can produce 20% more protein per acre than soybeans, which you might love to also eat, and 200 times more than beef, which we said before was a major source of protein. Robert Henriksen in May 1998 advanced the health discoveries from the source of life and mentioned at least 5 most important health issues covered by spirulina. He said that this spirulina strengthens the immune system, supports the cardiovascular function in healthy cholesterol, that means the HDL. It improves the gastrointestinal and digestive health. It enhances natural cleansing and detoxification, as I have told you, and reduces the cancer risks with its antioxidant properties. The best climate to grow spirulina is actually a hot country or a tropical country. So Malaysia is still under these best climates to grow spirulina. The spirulina farm the spirulina pond in Malaysia and also the Ganoderma farms there are really well taken care of. And even the United Nations and the World Health Organization have recommended spirulina as safe and nutritious even for children. And another benefit is that if we grow spirulina, it helps to stop cutting the last original forests to grow our food. In the Philippines, this really happens. We try to cut some of the trees so that we will have more grounds to plant our food. Now that you have brought spirulina to your personal lives, you can become part of the solution to improve the health of our planet. There are several testimonials to spirulina that they have produced remarkable recoveries even in life-threatening illnesses. And spirulina is a safe whole food. Take note the word whole, as I will discuss this a little bit later, which can be enjoyed every day. And it works in many ways, among which is to strengthen and balance our health. And it will make us less vulnerable to invading bacteria and viruses, our enemies since we were children. It is also very potent because only a few grams is needed per day and to be able to protect us. And many of the isolated vitamins and mineral supplements, as I've said already, aren't well absorbed. Examples of these are the calcium, the iron, the magnesium, the potassium, the zinc, and the selenium, which actually nourish and power our very critical enzyme systems. We know, of course, that enzymes are equivalent to life. Without the enzymes, our body functions will never work. And note also that the prime directive of our body, according to scientific theories, is to use our metabolism and its products and derivatives to support our immune system. Therefore, the immune system is really the centerpiece of our body, which is also the centerpiece of GXN. Assimilation of nutrients will be more full. You will undergo some kind of a cellular tune-up, like you were a car, for example, because spirulina will be able to help you read and repair your DNA, which is a basic genetic material that we all need so that we will not have a DNA that is damaged and will lead to the development or deterioration of the cell into malignancy or cancer. So there will be less damage and will have less incidence of cancer. The claims for spirulina are that also it lessens the incidence of cold and flu. And for those people who still get the flu, even with spirulina, at least they say that the chronic symptoms are lesser. The wounds, I as a surgeon can attest to these, actually heal faster, and there is also faster recovery from illness. You will be provided with more energy so that you can last the entire day listening to lectures, walking around Al Ain without feeling a little bit tired. You also will have an enhanced immune system by generating new blood cells. Always there are new blood cells that are being rejuvenated, and you will enhance the activities of new cells. So there will also be an increase in the number of macrophages. In Japan, new published studies actually showed that purified extracts of spirulina inhibited the replication of the very stubborn HIV virus, which is very preponderant in the United States, at least not in the Philippines as far as I'm concerned. And also this has functions or benefits for people who are suffering from influenza, for mumps and measles, which are common childhood illnesses and have been discovered to be very safe in humans. The advent of electron microscopy has actually given us the chance to be able to see what actually happens when microorganisms enter our body. In this particular slide, this organism called Cystosoma japonicum, which causes a debilitating disease called schistosomiasis, is actually trying to enter our skin. So why is it trying to enter our skin and eventually become successful in entering into our bloodstreams? What are the security guards doing? What are the police doing? Our cells, our macrophages. Why did they allow these very devious organisms to get into our body? It's because these organisms are also intelligent. I have always emphasized that among all the organisms, what I consider as the most intelligent is the virus. I'm sure Dr. Vasupal will agree with me that in our battle with the viruses, the battle is only half won. Because as we also improve and try to think what we can do against them, they somehow also think how they will be able to survive all our defenses. So they are really very devious but intelligent. Devious also because they do not have their own mechanism to replicate. And what do? They enter into our body. They will actually command our mechanism for cell reproduction and command it to reproduce itself. That makes it even more devious because it utilizes the machinery of our body to be able to replicate it. And when it is now replicated in millions and billions, it will now burst the cell and cause cell death. Further, I would like to show you how at least our helper T cells look like under the electron microscope. This is a major friend. It protects us. In this particular slide, the helper T cell, I would like to emphasize the word helper because there are different types of T cells. There are helper T cells. There are also killer T cells. And helper T cells, when they find viruses, such as in this slide, it immediately invites these viruses to itself and actually kill them. In this particular slide, we show the killer T cells, the other very, very good police and security guards that we have in our body. It roams around the body, tries to find invaders and things that will cause harm to our body. And in this particular slide, the killer T cells have found a cell that it wants to degenerate into a cancer cell. So this is very dangerous. It actually has encountered a cell that wants to degenerate into cancer. So it now wants to stop this to happen. And so the killer T cells will actually kill the cancer cell and will make it appear like a broomstick or a dried leaf. So the battle is won and we are very happy. Here in this slide, I'm showing you the macrophages I was talking to you about, the police and the security guards of our body. These macrophages, actually, if they see bacteria and viruses in the blood, will try to engulf this into its crevice and try to kill it right off. So the body is again saved. But if we win some battles, we also lose some, such as in this particular slide. The macrophage here shown is actually assigned to kill asbestos. Asbestos is a very poisonous substance that can get into our body. And this particular macrophage was assigned to kill the asbestos. It fulfilled its mission. It was able to kill or eat the asbestos up. But in the process, it also died. So now we will have to wait for another macrophage to be formed by our body so that we can be guarded from other serious illnesses. In this particular slide, I'm showing the counterpart of the T cell, which is here is called the B cells. The B cells are the ones that produce antibodies. And when it sees viruses and bacteria around it, it also attaches to it, and immediately the B cell will produce the required antibody that can kill whatever has attached to it. So what are the other scientific facts about spirulina? That it contains phytonutrients. We call these already phytonutrients, not phytochemicals, because we do not like the word chemical. We want to avoid chemicals because they connote that they have side effects. The phytonutrients in spirulina are the very famous beta-carotene from vitamin A, the phycocyanin, and the polysaccharide that we can also get from Ganoderma. If we take this daily, it will lower our cholesterol. Our total cholesterol profile will drop. That means there will be a major decrease in your low-density lipoprotein, which is LDL, and also, of course, with the triglyceride, and the very low-density lipoprotein, or VLDL. But we will have an increase in HDL, which is the high-density lipoprotein, and from the letter H, we will never forget that HDL is a healthy cholesterol. So among the cholesterol, this is our friend. It will also produce weight reduction. Overall cardiovascular health will improve. Our digestive system will also improve, and there will be, very importantly, regularity of elimination, probably more than once a day. And then there will be a suppression of the bad bacteria. We know, of course, that there are also good bacteria that we have to stimulate. We have bacteria inside our intestines which are our friends. These bacteria actually occupy our intestines without rent. We do not let them pay. They just stay there for free. But some of them are actually or understand the principle of gratitude, such as the E. coli, which provides vitamin K, another very important vitamins that participates in our blood clotting mechanisms. The E. coli will try to give us back vitamin K. It produces vitamin K to be able to pay the rent so that it can stay in our intestines forever. And spirulina, according to scientific facts, also contains the most remarkable concentration of functional nutrients ever known in any food, plant, grain, or herb. It is remarkably active against the AIDS virus, according to a study, again, by the very prestigious National Cancer Institute. And in 1993 to 1995, there were researches that proved that spirulina polysaccharides increased the T cell counts, strengthened the immune system, and raised the resistance in both man and animals in the form of probiotics. If there are antibiotics, there are also probiotics. And in 1994, a patent from Russia was awarded to spirulina as the medicine for reducing the allergic reactions that were caused by radiation in what you now, I'm sure, know as the Chernobyl accident. These children, most especially, who were exposed to radiation will have to be protected from the allergic reaction of the radiation. And spirulina from the algae comes from the oldest organisms, and the ones who gave us life are now here back to revitalize us again. These algae have harvested the energy of the sun. If we can only eat the energy of the sun, then we will all be all right, but we will also die in the process. If we can only eat sunlight, then that will be best for us, because the best energy still comes from the sun. 60% of the protein in spirulina is vegetable protein. It's essential vitamins and phytonutrients such as the antioxidant B, beta carotene, the rare essential fatty acid gamma linolenic acid, sulfolipids, glycolipids, and polysaccharides, which are all just medical terms that will ring hollow in your ears unless I explain them. Later on, we will try to think about them a little more. But my dare or challenge at this point is, you try to ask doctors and experts in your particular areas for essential nutrients that you will have to take, so that you'll be sure that you will remain healthy. And I am also sure that all these nutrients that they will advise to you are already contained in spirulina. So why is spirulina equivalent to 4 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables per day? It is not very good that every day we go to the market and buy all the vegetables and fruits in kilos and kilos and bring them home, so that we will be able to be assured of the 4 to 9 servings that we need to have. Beta carotene in spirulina is actually 10 times more concentrated than carrots that you probably love to eat. We usually just eat 1 to 2 servings of this instead of the recommended 4 to 9. But we can get natural beta carotene insurance from spirulina in just one small spirulina candy. And what's more, it is easy to digest. There are no fats and no cholesterol. And it also has gamma linolenic acid, which I have already mentioned, and is an essential fatty acid. There are at least 2 types of fatty acids, the essential and the non-essential. When you say essential, that means the person has to take it from his diet. Otherwise, he will lack that particular fatty acid, which is very important for his health. The non-essential fatty acids, we do not have to include in our diet, because our body already knows how to produce those fatty acids. And this gamma linolenic acid is also present in mother's milk. Take note, mother's milk, which is the only other whole food that contains gamma linolenic acid. So there are only 2 types of whole food that has the very important gamma linolenic acid: your mother's milk and spirulina candies from DXN. Now, how can you still drink your mother's milk at this point? So you have to go for spirulina candy. I would like to emphasize that this is rare because aside from the breast milk, spirulina is the only other whole food with GLA. It is rich in iron. It is easier to absorb than iron supplements that you can buy from the pharmacies and drugstores. And it has the highest source of vitamin B12 for healthy nerves and tissues. If you are moving away, according to an opinion, from empty processed food, such as the white sugar I was telling you about, or instant noodles that some people love to eat because they are always in a hurry, and chemical vitamins to natural foods, you'd have to start using spirulina. It is nature's longest living food with chlorophyll. I told you they provide us with a link to the plant kingdom. And chlorophyll is the one that gets the energy from the sun. Nature's green magic is another accolade given to it. It is perfect in between or before meals for good nutrition without the usual heaviness of bulky food. And the applications are the following. Among athletes, there is an observed better endurance and strength after taking spirulina. Among the seniors, those who are already 50 and above, you will have better nutrient absorption because the intestines also ages as the person ages. So the intestines will also absorb less or expectedly when we age. But with spirulina, you will have better nutrient absorption. And children, pregnant, and even nursing mothers can well tolerate this, and this is ideal and safe for them too. Scientific evidence recommends that we will take 2 to 10 grams per day of the spirulina, which translates to about 1 teaspoon of your powder or 6 to 20 of the tablets. And its daily use is most beneficial. The tablets are convenient also because they can be mixed with whatever type of food you would like to eat. That is why we also have spirulina cereal. I don't know if it's available in the Gulf. It is actually a kind of cereal made of spirulina algae that is very nice to eat. And it makes you feel good inside while making you feel good outside or look good outside. And to the bikers, the backpackers, and the mountain climbers, they find spirulina a very lightweight survival food. They don't have to bring tons and tons of food up to the mountains. They will only have to bring DXN bottles that contain several tablets of the spirulina. And to the bodybuilders, 60% proteins and amino acids are given to them by the spirulina. It is also low in fat, so the bodybuilders love it. And there is also improved performance that is observed among them. In the Cuban Ministry of Sports, there was intensified training before the 96 Olympic Games. And they gave their athletes spirulina and observed that there was an increased endurance and even decreased cramping among their athletes. You have to remember that while training will increase your appetite, spirulina will curb your hunger. So this is another reason why Ganoderma of DXN plus spirulina of DXN are the best if combined. Because spirulina can even help protect the vitamin C from potency loss. All of you know that we need vitamin C to be able to absorb Ganoderma lucidum. And the more vitamin C, the better. And spirulina will be able to protect the potency of whatever vitamin C is present in our body so that we can absorb the Ganoderma better. And what's good is Ganoderma and spirulina can even be used topically. Don't you know that in the Philippines, the Ganoderma toothpaste is being used as a very soothing because of its cool effects on minor burns. And the patients really love the effects of the cooling and soothing effect of the toothpaste. Now, you know that toothpaste is used as an ointment. So our question for DXN is, as I've already said, the source is very important. Manufacturing is very important. And so, because we already know that there are a lot of algae lakes that are already infected, and this has to be controlled, and DXN really controls this and makes pure cultures of the microorganisms for our use. This is important because this was reported in the World Algae Conference in South Africa in 1996. So your questions for yourself while you are taking Ganoderma and spirulina will be the following. How much better do you feel? How much more energy do you have? How much more resistant to disease and infection are you? Because I would like to say that Ganoderma plus spirulina are actually the next step beyond vitamins and minerals. In a cover story by Newsweek entitled "Better Than Vitamins," they said, and I quote, "It is Whole Foods that pack the disease-preventing wallop." You know how Newsweek writes. That's because they harbor a whole ratatouille of compounds that have never seen the inside of a vitamin bottle, mostly phytonutrients. Don't ask me what ratatouille means because I don't understand myself. But at least we get the gist, right? And that cover story emphasizes that this is really the next big thing and the new stars of the health revolution. Even the United States Congress, in their 1994 Dietary Supplement Act, that means it's already going to become law. There is a link between the ingestion of certain nutrients or dietary supplements and the prevention of chronic diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and osteoporosis. Again, they brought up the importance of comparing the natural versus the synthetic. And of course, we now know the reason the natural is better assimilated than the synthetic. In the Chinese Sports Training Center, they tried to introduce spirulina and Ganoderma to the Chinese. But you know, the Chinese are never late. They are always ahead. In 2000, only to find out that for 5 years, they have already been using this combination with intense results. And not only that, they own a private and exclusive spirulina farm in that particular portion of China. So the next question is, weight loss and spirulina. You do not expect to take spirulina and lose weight, but whatever weight you have achieved through diet and exercise, and which you consider ideal for you, will be maintained and stabilized by spirulina. Can a person live on spirulina alone? I'm afraid the answer is yes, because of what it contains. But I don't think you would love to live on spirulina alone, because we will miss all the wonderful food that we always love to eat. And spirulina's use in fasting, here in the Gulf, it's going to have some really great use because you observe fasting. And so you can take spirulina during the time of fast. And spirulina for pets and animals have been proven to be very useful because it has produced healthier skin among these animals, a more lustrous coat, and actually fresher breath. So Ganoderma and spirulina can help restore our lives. They are the next best thing to eating sunlight. If we eat fungi and algae and bring light into your own cells and into your own lives, they are our magnificent legacy for our next generation. I actually said this as a complimentary statement to what also Professor Vasopalya said yesterday, that he is actually conscious about what he is going to leave his children and the children of his children, which is really should be our concern. This is our legacy. And here is a statement. People cut trees to have more fertile lands for planting grains, fruits, and vegetables. But we get flood and less trees for shade and other purposes. Algae ponds and mushroom farms are smaller and therefore are like growing all these in a smaller area without having to cut trees more than what we already had. And so health repair should be now. If we have a healthy or a damaged body, all we have to do is give ourselves Ganoderma. And if we add spirulina, then this will result in a transformed body and therefore a healed body. I would like to emphasize that if you take Ganoderma and spirulina with breakfast, you will leave your breakfast table with confidence that you will have energy that you will require for the entire day, and you will not feel sleepy way ahead of time. You will have energy for the whole day and even beyond if you have to. And this spells health and more. That is why I still claim that it is so total supplementation, second to none. As a summary, DXN Ganoderma can help you supply these cells. Holistic or natural medicine such as Ganoderma or Ganotherapy is not a body of untried theories. It is not a fad or a latest trend just because it is giving us a lot of money. It has been here for thousands of years. Health is not the result of only a single action. There are no magic bullets to achieving it. It is the result of your right decisions day after beautiful day. Conventional wisdom, or conventional medicine for that matter, of which I was a proponent, or is still a proponent, may frown upon natural medicine or Ganotherapy. But when their own body starts to fail, they will remember how might natural medicine have prevented it. And they will only have regrets. It will take great courage to accept responsibility for your own health. This is the only body you will ever have and you'll ever get. So take back control of your own health today. And do it the DXN way. Before I finally end, I would like to thank all the organizers who have made this possible for all of us, particularly Sunil Kumar. And I would like to say that information without application leads to frustration. So whatever you learned today, please apply them. Thank you and good morning.